What if I told you that making your very first $100,000 is actually harder than making your second, third, or even your fourth? Welcome to this explainer. Now, at first, that sounds mathematically impossible, right? After all, $100,000 is just $100,000. But wealth doesn't grow in a straight line. It grows according to an entirely different set of rules. Today, we're going to explore a hidden truth, a quiet mathematical reality that dictates our financial futures. So, is 100,000 always just 100,000? On paper, sure, the math seems completely identical, whether it's your first 100 grand or your fifth. But in reality, the journey to that first chunk of wealth plays by completely different physical rules than the journey to the rest of it. $100,000. We are anchoring this entire explainer on this exact figure because it is literally the hardest physical barrier in the geometry of wealth. Reaching this milestone demands a level of discipline and patience that, frankly, most people simply never develop. Part 1. The invisible early years. In the very beginning of your financial journey, every single dollar you make comes entirely from your own grueling effort. You're trading your hours, your energy for a paycheck. And the progress? It feels agonizingly slow. Why? Because your portfolio is simply too small to do any meaningful work for you. Most of your growth comes straight from your own savings, not from compound returns. I mean, even a fantastic 10% return on a few $1,000s yields almost nothing. Your money is just kind of sitting there. The first 1,000 takes immense discipline. The first 10,000 requires relentless consistency. And that first 100,000, it demands years of quiet patience. And this agonizingly slow phase creates a very real psychological trap. We call it the invisible treadmill. Your income rises, maybe you get a great promotion or a solid raise, but your lifestyle inflates at the exact same pace. You get a slightly better car, a nicer apartment, you're running faster, you're working harder, but your true financial freedom remains exactly at zero. You might feel richer on paper, but the reality is you're just spending more. Which brings us to part 2, the linear thinking trap. You see, we're all fighting a fundamental war between our own biological wiring and the cold, hard mathematical reality of wealth creation. Human biology expects linear thinking. We are literally wired to believe that 1 hour of work equals exactly 1 hour of pay, step by step. But financial mathematics dictates an exponential reality. And the jarring truth of an exponential curve is that the first years yields almost nothing, while the final years yield almost everything. It boils down to this. We are taught to be consumers long before we are taught to be owners. Because of our linear mindset, we fall right into the trap of viewing our paycheck simply as a way to buy things today, rather than seeing money for what it truly is, a tool to acquire long-term freedom. So, how do we break free? Part 3. Escaping the dopamine trap. Every single day, we fight a biological war between the instant gratification of modern consumption and the quiet, unglamorous reality of long-term wealth. This is the upgrade trap. When you give yourself the psychological permission to upgrade your lifestyle the absolute second your bank account has a little breathing room, you are literally eating the seeds of your future forest. You're consuming the raw materials required to build your wealth before they've even had a chance to touch the soil. Remember, every dollar spent today has a future cost. This is the physics of loss. The true cost of a lifestyle upgrade isn't just the price tag you see at the register, it's the staggering opportunity cost. Spending today means completely sacrificing the exponential magic of what that money could have become decades from now.
Part 4. The turning point.
Once you finally hit that first $100,000, the mathematics radically shift. Wealth creation transforms from a completely human-powered system into a self-powered one. Think about it like this. In Decade 1, the growth is invisible. It's dark, it's frustrating, and it is so incredibly easy to quit. But if you can just hold on into Decade 2, momentum builds. Your interest starts earning its own interest without you putting in additional hours and without you asking permission from anyone. The system begins to reward your patience. And by Decade 3, you reach a massive geometric expansion. And as you can see, a tiny seed representing time will mathematically outweigh a massive sum of gold that starts late. The real asset in wealth geometry isn't actually money, it's time. Time is always the heaviest weight on the financial scale. Part 5. The geometry of wealth. To truly grasp this explosive endgame of compound interest, I want you to consider the number 42. If you were somehow able to fold a standard piece of paper in half exactly 42 times, its thickness would literally reach the moon. Now, no way, right? It sounds completely absurd, but it vividly demonstrates the backloaded reality of exponential math. Those first 30 folds look like barely anything, just a thick block of paper. But those final few folds, they bridge the entire gap to the moon. And this mathematical reality plays out flawlessly in the real world. Think about this. 99% of Warren Buffett's wealth came after he turned 50. The final years of an exponential curve create such massive, staggering expansion that onlookers standing on the sidelines simply assume it's pure luck. They mistake decades of agonizingly slow, quiet growth for an overnight success. Wealth is the quiet accumulation of freedom. Building the architecture of wealth isn't about being flashy or showing off. It is simply about saying no to the dopamine trap today so that you have the ultimate power to say yes to the life you actually want tomorrow. It's about letting time do the heavy lifting in the background while you go live your life. So, I'll leave you with a provocative challenge today. Are you willing to wait through the invisible years? Do you have the patience to sit in the dark while the math quietly does its work? The hardest part of building wealth isn't actually becoming rich. It's staying patient enough to reach the point where compounding finally begins to matter. Time is the most powerful financial asset on earth, but it strictly demands your patience as payment. The geometry of wealth always rewards patience. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and I truly hope this changes the way you look at your very first $100,000.